The Patriots should sit Drake Maye. This is a statement that's pretty hotly debated by Patriots fans, among other just generic NFL fans. But the Patriots signed Jacoby Brissett in the offseason, presumably to be the bridge quarterback until Drake Maye is ready to start. But should he have to wait? Last year, we saw CJ Stroud take a Texans team that picked second overall to the playoffs, get a playoff victory, and he set some single game rookie records along the way. With that performance as the most recent one in our minds, a lot of people are saying, why wouldn't anybody else be able to do that? Why couldn't Caleb do it? Why couldn't Jaden Daniels do it? Why can't Drake Maye do it? It's very easy to say that, but how realistic is it actually to have another performance that is that good? Over the last 10 years, 32 quarterbacks have been taken in the first round, and I've gone ahead and organized them into 4 groups. They're off to my right now. Group 1 in the top left, they started within the first 6 weeks of their rookie season, and I would consider them a success, a hit. Group 2 in the top right sat for at least the first 6 weeks of their rookie season, and I would also call them a success. They panned out somehow. Group 3 in the bottom left, they started right away, and they were not very successful. And then group 4, those are the guys that didn't start within the first 6 weeks and also were not super successful. There's not a whole lot of names on that bottom right corner, but they're there. I could spend 30 minutes going over each and every quarterback, their situation, what it looked like, and what I think should have happened if they were betrayed by their coaching staffs. I could do all that, but instead, I just want to go over some key points of these names, and then just a couple of other topics, other subjects on that list. The first point is about Trey Lance. His rookie season was weird in that he started in week 5, but only started in 2 games his rookie season. It was kind of handled very strangely by the 49ers, but my criteria for the part of the list that he landed on was getting a start within the first 6 weeks of the rookie season. That just felt right to me. It felt like the right amount of games where it seemed like there was a plan of succession rather than, oh God, we need a quarterback, just throw him in there whenever our starter isn't good. There was kind of a plan of, okay, this guy's going to start for a certain amount of time, and then we'll ease the rookie into it. And it just didn't seem like that way with Trey Lance in San Francisco. Asterisk number 2, Jared Goff in that top right quadrant of successes that didn't start right away. It's kind of difficult to call him a success because of the end of his time in LA for the Rams. And I just think he was tough to grade in general. But I think that he had enough success in LA, taking them to that Super Bowl and being successful before the trade. And then subsequently after that trade, being successful again with the Lions. And that kind of takes me into the third point I've got, which is about Carson Wentz, who kind of mirrored Jared Goff up until the second point in his career where Carson Wentz left the Eagles and fell off completely and isn't even in the league anymore. And Jared Goff had a big career resurgence, and that's the difference between putting them in the hits and the misses, which is why I kind of categorized it in my head, at least, as successes and non-successes rather than hits and misses, because hits, you kind of think that they have to be successful for the team that drafted them. It had to be a good draft pick. And I just didn't really agree with that for all of these, including Deshaun Watson. So I would definitely consider him a bigger success than Carson Wentz for the team that drafted him for the first part of his career. And he is still in the league, still projected as a starter. So you can't really call him a terrible failure. But up until his whole, situation, his whole scenario with the massages, he was one of the better QBs in the league. And so I wanted to give him that nod for that. And then the final thing I wanted to mention was this most recent quarterback class, 2023, with Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson, where I didn't put them in any of these categories. Obviously, CJ Stroud would fit into that started and was successful because through 1 year, we already know he's pretty good. But Bryce Young, I think he could have benefited from sitting for a year, or maybe not for a full year, but until the Panthers' weapons kind of got to a point of contention and until their O-line kind of got better, which could have taken 1 year, could have taken multiple years. But I think that him basically running for his life and trying to save that entire offense was not good for him. And then Anthony Richardson, obviously injured for a majority of last season and only has a couple of games under his belt, so I didn't feel comfortable grading him. And now we get to the groups that I just want to talk about. Some of the guys who started right away, and then the other options that the team had at quarterback, with guys like Tua, who just squeaked past that 6 game requirement, so he's in that rested for 6 weeks, or was benched for 6 weeks kind of category. But the Dolphins had Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is a pretty capable bridge quarterback that was able to start until Tua was ready. The Chiefs with Mahomes had Alex Smith. The Packers had Aaron Rodgers with Jordan Love. For the guys who started right away, what was that other option? So was there a capable bridge guy, and Alex Smith, I wouldn't say Aaron Rodgers is a bridge guy, but was there a guy that should have started instead, or were they rushed into it, or was there really no better option? And so with that, I want to start with the guys who started right away and were genuine successes. With Deshaun Watson, he started over Tom Savage, who had to come in and replace him after Deshaun's injury. But in his 6 starts towards the end of the season, he had 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So that kind of shows that it really wasn't going to be a better option to start Tom Savage over Deshaun Watson. Deshaun was their best shot, and he succeeded as in spite of that. Josh Allen was competing with one of the worst QBs of all time in Nathan Peterman. Shout out. Uh, and that was after Tyrod left. Tyrod was there the year before. He left. They draft Josh Allen, and he's kind of forced into that role because the other option is one of the worst QBs in NFL history. The only other quarterback on the roster for the Cardinals when they drafted Kyler was Brett Hundley. That was a year removed from Josh Rosen being drafted. Brandon Allen replaced Joe Burrow when he got injured his rookie year and put up very unimpressive numbers. That's another case of Joe Burrow, just kind of their best option, so they don't really have that capable bridge guy. Justin Herbert is a very strange case. I mentioned Tyrod Taylor just a second ago. He was supposed to be sitting behind Tyrod until a team doctor punctured Tyrod's lung, which led to Tyrod missing time and Justin Herbert starting and performing very well. So that's a case of maybe the Chargers said, okay, Justin Herbert could sit for a little while, learn a little bit from a more established veteran in the league that kind of knows what he's doing. And then, oh, shoot, he needs to start now because our established veteran is hurt. Oh my God, he's actually really good. Okay, good thing. Trevor Lawrence was the prospect of a lifetime. It'd be kind of silly to bench him after he was talked up so much. But I think that with such a disastrous rookie year with Urban Meyer and that whole situation, maybe him sitting and letting Gardner Minshew kind of lead the way a little bit would have been a better option. But I also think that's parallel to maybe saying Bailey Zappi would start over Drake May, where it's a guy who maybe outperformed his draft expectations, but was really just not that good, and isn't as good as the highly drafted young quarterback that was, that is a rookie where the other guy, the Gardner Minshew or the Bailey Zappi, is in his second year. So those are all of the successful instant starters. Now, I'm not going to go over all of those unsuccessful instant starters. There's a lot of them, but just for some notable ones. Jameis and Marcus Mariota are always ones that I'm drawn to just because they went 1 and 2, started right away. They were talked up so highly, and they just really didn't pan out. But for Mariota, he had an ancient Matt Castle backing him up, and Mike Glennon was the backup for Jameis Winston. So not really good bridge options, just kind of like veteran career backups were there. So there's not really a better option. You kind of have to start Jameis or Marcus Mariota. Sam Darnold was competing with Josh McCown. There was no chance that they were starting Josh McCown over Sam Darnold. And then the last one that I want to talk about is Daniel Jones, who actually did sit behind Eli Manning for the first 2 games of the season before stepping in. Eli was 38 during that season, and I think that Danny Dimes could have benefited from more time on the bench, but I don't think Eli was the quality bridge guy they needed. I think he was a bit too old to kind of play that role. So I think that unfortunately Daniel Jones was just kind of set up for failure. And again, he looked okay in his earlier years and has just not looked as good since. But anywho, the reason all of that is important is because of Jacoby Brissett. He has shown that he is capable of starting in this league. He may not be, like a top of the league option, but he's a capable starter. He can throw the ball. He can read a field. He can read a defense. And with questionable weapons and questionable O-line play where we don't really know how well that offensive line is going to mesh, and we really don't know how good the receivers are with 2 rookies added to the bunch, and Juju probably having a lower role, and Tyquan Thornton maybe stepping up into it. There's just so many question marks in that weapons group. It seems like kind of a good decision to take the question mark out of the quarterback position and put a guy who is a baseline middle of the pack quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. Have a base, like a solid quarterback, and if you perform well, then you know the weapons are pretty good because you already kind of know what you're getting with Brissett. Whereas if you start a rookie quarterback with some rookie weapons and some rookie O linemen, you don't know whose fault it really is, and I think that's a bad thing. The other thing that I do need to mention is that Drake May himself said that he would probably benefit from spending time on the bench and learning. Uh, and that is a big part of it. If he believes that he needs to sit and learn behind somebody who knows what they're doing, then I think that's the best move for the team and for Drake May's future. That's about all of the research side of things. Now it's just back to the main question. Should the Patriots sit Drake May? And if they do, how long should they sit him for? My answer is it depends. That's the easy way out. If there's a situation like Justin Herbert's rookie season where Jacoby Brissett goes down and they need somebody to come in, I don't think that Drake May would benefit as much from a guy like Bailey Zappi or Joe Milton stepping in and playing over him. I think that it would be more beneficial for him to get the actual in-game playing time than it would be for him to watch another young and experienced quarterback figure things out on his own instead of watching an experienced veteran who knows what he's doing. I think there's just a difference there. I'd like to see him sit for at least 6 weeks, kind of that mark that I had on the for the graph. But if Jacoby Brissett can lead the Patriots for a whole season and they can hover around 500, why not go for that? And if the O line is good and the receivers end up performing pretty well, maybe Drake May starts a little earlier. Maybe he starts by midseason. And unfortunately, the Patriots bye week is week 14, so there's no like easy week 8 bye that it's like, okay, Drake May can start after the bye and you can see what you've got with the weapons in the first half of the season, see what you got in May after that. But there's just no easy break for that. And if they did wait until that bye, he'd only be playing 4 games where there likely wouldn't be much to gain except for injuries, which would not be good. As always, be sure to comment. Let me know if you think Drake May should play early, if you think he should play late, if you think he should play this season at all, if you think he might win the job by week 1. Just let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know what you think about Jacoby Brissett, about the Patriots prospects in general. I'm a little bit higher on them than most. I am a Patriots fan, but I do think they're being pretty underrated, that defense especially. Drop a like, subscribe, leave your suggestions in the comments, and all of that good stuff. And with all that out of the way, deuces.